Today, I'm joined by Ryan Little. Ryan left his hometown in Georgia 2 years ago to move to Thailand and pursue a career in high ticket online sales. Today, he makes over $20,000 per month in high ticket sales and will be sharing the lessons that he learned along the way so that you can close more deals. Whether you're a business owner looking to bring on more clients or an ambitious young person looking to find a role that can give you a life of freedom, Ryan has something to share with everybody. Ryan, it's great to have you on the channel.
What's up, guys? 21 years old, living in Bangkok, Thailand. Met Eric almost like a year and a half ago. Yeah, been living it out here in Bangkok. It's the best place to be, especially in your 20s, with the networking, how cheap it is, the food, the weather, all the good, not that many of the bad. So it's a great place to be. Thanks for having me, bro.
It's my pleasure. So, Ryan, you sell for a few different offers, and you also have a network where you train people to sell and help them find roles. In your opinion, since we have a lot of business owners who follow this channel, why do you think sales is so important for business?
I think sales is the number one thing in the business, because if you don't bring any money in, you don't really have a business. So sales and marketing, they go hand in hand. But if you have no money coming in, then the business will decline. No money coming in, can't pay the bills, the wife's not happy, and ultimately you fail. So sales is the number one most important thing, especially if you're like a young man in your 20s, maybe 30s, and you have nothing going for you right now. The best, most important skill you can learn is sales, because once you learn and acquire that skill, you'll literally never go broke again.
So let's say we have some business owners watching this and they subscribe to the belief that they will build the best product, and because of that, they're just going to have word of mouth marketing, the people will come. They believe in this idea that build it and they will come. Do you believe that's true? Do you believe that's just part of the picture? What are your thoughts on that, and why do you think that sales fits into that and is a necessary part of the business?
So you can kind of look at your business just like you're a man, like your business is its own entity, and that entity needs to be attractive, which of course comes with marketing. So that drives the leads to your business. But if your sales isn't good, if you're talking to these girls and you can't get them to close, go home with you, date you, the sales skills aren't there, you're never going to convert any of these people that you're attracting, which is why sales and marketing go literally hand in hand.
Yeah, it's true, right? Like, you can have the best marketing, but if you can't close the deal, then you're not going to make any money. So there's a few parallels, it sounds like, between interpersonal relationships and sales as a whole. Do you think that there's a lot that someone can learn from getting better at networking, let's say getting better at dating or meeting new people? Do you think those skills sort of transfer over to sales, or do you think that, let's say, following a more structured approach specifically for sales is the best approach to learn?
Yeah, I would say 100% the best way to learn is to get out there in the real world, start building connections, building relationships, because that's all sales really is connecting with people and changing lives. So the more you're able to go out there and close some dates, make people a bid to your will by converting them to, instead of going to this restaurant, they're now going to this restaurant because you sold them on it. Just being very conscious and self-aware of the skills that you use every single day, because whether you guys like it or not, you've been using sales your entire life, ever since you've made your first friend to your first girlfriend or boyfriend. You've closed them on liking you, and you got your first sale. You just didn't get paid for it.
Very true, very true. And one of the common talking points, I'll say this to the audience at home here, one of the biggest talking points that business owners have is, or let's say one of the most common things that business owners say is, I don't need to focus on sales because I'm just going to sign a few clients and then eventually get to the point where I can hire a closer. And I subscribe to the belief, and maybe I can get your thoughts on this too, that you need to understand at least the fundamentals in every single aspect inside of your business. Like, if you only know the service delivery and not the sales, then it's going to be very difficult to find somebody who knows how to sell, and then also to get those initial clients. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on that for the business owners watching this?
Yeah, so if you're a business owner and you have no idea, you don't even want to learn sales, you're holding yourself back from so much leverage that you could have, because no one knows your business better than you. You can hire a closer later on down the line, but if you have no conviction, no knowledge in how to actually sell your business, like your product right now, and you just give it to someone else, you're leaving yourself on a hanging just because you're relying on someone else to make money. Let's just say that closer's gone. Now what? You have no skills, You didn't want to learn the skill, and now you're stranded relying on someone else instead of just having yourself, relying on yourself for a long time, and then bringing on someone else later. So I think the skill of sales, especially as a business owner, it's the most important thing you can do so that we can actually start bringing money in, and you can always just hire a closer later.
So, Ryan, what offers do you sell for right now? What is it exactly that Ryan Little sells?
Yeah, so at the moment, guys, I'm closing for a crypto DeFi offer for one of my best friends. He's in the UK right now, but he also lives in Bangkok. He just got kicked out a few weeks ago, but he'll be back shortly. And yeah, I closed that. It ranges from like 6K to 15K USD for like a one-time lifetime payment. So getting 10% of that, living out here in Bangkok, Thailand, let's just say I make $600 or 1,500 USD, get a few sales a day. I mean, you guys can kind of do the math. It's not too shabby. Out here in Bangkok, where it's 3 times cheaper than in the U.S. So Eric and I are able to ball out of control.
Beautiful, beautiful. Do you think that, let's say we have some people at home watching this and they're looking to get into high ticket sales. Maybe they're not necessarily a business owner. Do you think the crypto space is one of the best spaces to get in, especially during this bull run?
Yeah, very interesting question. So with crypto, I would not get into it until you have at least like 50,000 in the bank or 100,000 in the bank, because with crypto, the majority of people that do fail, they don't have like a problem with crypto. They have more of a problem with their income. So they're relying solely on the fact that this coin needs to go up or I can't pay my bills. But once you have 50K or 100K in the bank, then it's like a less kind of risk to you. And that way you actually can just focus on leveling up your income to actually not have to worry about crypto. So I think crypto is like a little bit later on down the line in terms of like what you should be focusing on. I think number one, you should be focusing on learning a very high income skill, whether it be sales, marketing, building an agency, whatever that may be as like your main source of income, so that way you can actually unlock time freedom, location freedom, and eventually financial freedom. And then after saving, scaling up to like 10K, 20K, 30K a month, start saving, and then you can start thinking about investing. But starting off, investing in yourself, that's the best thing you can do. And then just start leveling up your skills so that way you can actually make more money.
And do you think during this bull run, for someone who wants to find a role, do you think that roles like crypto offers are a good offer to sell for during this bull run? Or do you think that that time has passed, they should develop their skill set on a more long-term play? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so in terms of the offer you should be looking for, crypto offers are great, but a lot of them are scams. So you want to make absolute certain that the offers you do sell for aren't scams, so that way you don't have any trouble sleeping at night. You have a clear conscience and everything's all good. Luckily, that's good for me. But in terms of actually finding your first role, you need to find which type of niche would be easiest and most comfortable for you talking about. Let's just say, have you day traded before? Okay. So let's just say Eric has day traded, and he failed, but he knows the terminology, he knows a little bit about it. It's like day trading, that type of niche, that would be good for him, just because his confidence level is like a 6 out of 10, instead of Eric going on like a meditation offer or like a self-improvement offer where they like teach people how to meditate for 10 hours a day. That probably wouldn't be the best bet for you. So I think like with finding your first offer, being able to be confident and have high conviction in what you're actually talking about, that's very important. So that way you can go from absolutely $0 to your first 10,000 a month just because you already kind of know what you're talking about.
Now, while we're on the topic of selling for a specific offer, what are the differences you've noticed? Because you've tried a few different offers, it sounds like. What are the differences that you've noticed between, let's say, a $500 offer and a $15,000 offer? What is the difference in terms of the people it attracts as well as how the sales calls go?
Yeah, very good question again. So with that, the $500 calls are the worst sales calls to have. Just because like they're scraping their pennies, looking in their wallet, they barely have any money. And it usually takes like an hour, 20 minutes long of a sales call just because they're so broke, they have scarcity mindset, they don't want to spend any money. On the contrary, when I closed that 15K deal, it was like, I think it was like a 20-minute call. No objections, very easy, very quick. Quite the opposite of the $500 call. And it's just like the difference between like a scarcity mindset type of client, someone who's like broke, they're scared, they don't want to make money, they've never taken a risk in their life, compared to like someone who's like has like 200,000 plus, 15K is like pennies to them. So it's a lot easier to close those type of deals. And I think those are the best clients, the best audience to aim for is like the higher end status ones. So that way you can make more money yourself as a business owner, and you don't have to go through the headache of having hour-long calls with broke people about where they're going to find their next pennies.
100%. Now, whenever it comes to some water, good. Okay. All right, we're live. Now, when it comes to landing those $15,000 sales, you obviously have to have a lot of trust with this prospect. How are you able to build up trust in a 20-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour call to the point where someone is comfortable paying you $15,000?
So building up the trust first comes from like the personal brand, of course. This guy was like watching Jake for like 6 months, so he was already pretty much sold. And then on the sales call, just building up that frame, that authority straight away, right when you guys joined the call, so that way he knows exactly who you are. You are associated with Jake, and you're not just some Indian scammer. And then from there, it's just all about equating the value to why it cost $15K in the first place. And then just making sure they have clear understanding of the A to Z process on how X, Y, and Z is able to help them get to X, Y, and Z. And then from there, it's a pretty easy process once they understand exactly what the process looks like, what it takes to get there, how much it costs, and what they'll get in return.
Now, I want to touch on something very crucial that you mentioned and you sort of brushed past, but I'm sure the audience wants to know. When you mentioned the A to Z process, why is that so important? Why is it important to future pace and talk about the next steps when you're on that sales call?
Yeah, so with future pacing, there's a few ways you can go about it. So when they join the call, they're probably a bit lost, a bit confused, not really sure what they want, why they want it, or anything like that. So on the sales call as a closer, or just with sales in general, you want to be able to kind of lay out the roadmap, where they are right now, where they want to go, why do they want to go there, what problems are they having, 6 months, 12 months down the line, if they don't change, if they don't take action, what does that look like? And then another way, 6 to 12 months down the line, if they do take action, reach their goals, what does that look like? So that way you can kind of bring them from where they are right now to where they want to go, where they don't want to go, and kind of paint the picture for them of like what steps they need to take on that call.
And why is it important to also discuss the opposite side, the pain points, and describe where they don't want to go? Why is it so crucial for the sales call?
Amazing question. So the reason that's crucial is because the number one fear humans have, it's not death, it's actually change. So to get someone to change, you need to kind of put their hand in the fire. Because if no one's ever like feeling any pain in life, they're always going to remain stagnant, remain comfortable. And when you're in a comfortable position in life with no pain, no urgency, there's no room to grow. So on the sales call, your goal is to pretty much challenge them on like, okay, what's going on in your life? Why aren't you where you want to be at? And how does it feel knowing that you're not the man or in that position that you want to be? So that way they realize, they open their eyes to the reality that they're in, and they feel that pain, they feel that urgency. They're like, oh man, I'm not where I want to be. I need to take that next step. I need to find the way to get to that place, that desired output that I want to get to. So that way you can kind of put their hand on the fire to actually take action and to make that change that all humans are scared to make, which is the point of sales.
Now, some people, whenever they get into sales originally, whether that's for their own offer or on somebody else's offer, they have a bit of trouble talking about the future in terms of what somebody wants to avoid because they're worried about coming across as either scammy or manipulative or of giving someone something that they don't ultimately need. How do you decide if somebody needs the offer that you're selling, if they're on the call? And then also, how do you sort of reconcile that belief? Or what would you say to somebody who believes that selling is inherently unethical or it can lead to unethical outcomes?
Yeah, so that's the point of like the sales call as well, just to qualify. You're kind of like picture yourself when you're on a sales call, you're like the doctor. You want to make absolute certain that they have a sickness in the first place because not everyone needs medicine. Some people, they might not even need what you're selling. So you need to be absolutely clear on what sickness, what pain they're feeling. Make sure they can, of course, afford the medicine. And then from there, just prescribing the right medicine. Let's just say the person you're on a sales call with, he has a problem with cancer. And then you prescribe him diabetes medicine. I mean, you're just kind of shooting him in the wrong direction. So you need to make absolute sure and have absolute sense of clarity on what's going on, what's going wrong with his life, what problems he's having. And then from there, prescribing the right solution, which is what you're selling. And if it doesn't make sense, if nothing aligns, you don't have to sell. You don't have to force it. You don't have to make him give you money just for the sake of it. You have to make sure that it's an exchange of value. And that way, it's a win-win situation.
Excellent. Now, when you're on these sales calls, are there any go-to stories or go-to examples that you use frequently that help somebody understand, let's say, more of a high level concept, are there any stories that like you just go to, whether that's of a past client or let's just say metaphors as a whole, to help somebody picture themselves moving forward with you? Do you have any like go-to stories examples?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. Is it like more of like an objection you're talking about, or?
Yeah, just in like what is the importance of the storytelling process on these calls? Do you have go-to stories like Jake who went through the program, or let's say Kyle who went through the program, he achieved X Y Z? Do you use that in the sales call, and also do you use like certain metaphors in the calls to help get your ideas across?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very important to use like some analogies on these calls, so that way you can kind of tell a story about person A making it to outcome A, and he did X, Y, and Z in order to get there, and that way you kind of relate that story to the prospect, so that prospect can put themselves in the shoes of person A, and that they can get to that same desired outcome that person A was able to achieve. So that way you can kind of paint the picture of the entire process of that prospect going from joining the call to actually getting to their goal. So that way they have a full, clear picture on the A to Z process to get to where they actually want to be in life.
Now, I want to switch gears here for a moment and talk about the difference between appointment setting and closing, because these are two distinct roles that you have experience in. You have experience with both working as a setter and as a closer. What is the, I guess, difference between the two? Why are both of them necessary in a business? And how did you make that transition from one role to another?
Okay, so to answer the first part of that question with setting, it's pretty much, you can think of it like basketball. You're kind of alley-ooping to the closer to dunk it. And then a closer, they're just going in, closing the deal. But with setting, it's more of like a 10 to 15 minute conversation or less. Then closing, it usually takes 20 minutes to an hour to close that deal. And with setting, it's more of like a brief, qualifying call, making sure they have pain, urgency, qualifications in order to pay for what you're selling. And then a closer, they're diving really deep on what's going on, just as a doctor would, to make sure that they're actually sick, can they afford the product, X, Y, and Z. So they're two totally different roles. Setting is a lot more entry-level friendly. Like, you don't need that much skills. You just need to be able to think, to talk, have Wi-Fi. That's all you really need. But as a closer, you need to be able to dive deep, be fully present, completely understand the whole entire framework of how the sales calls go. But of course, when you go from closing deals to setting, it's just like a lot easier.
And how did you find your first role as a setter? What was the process that you took to actually get onto your first offer?
Yeah, so in terms of actually landing my first role, I like to call it the shadow funnel strategy. It's a pretty cool name. So it's pretty much like, do you know like Andrew Tate, right? Of course. Okay. So like the cameraman. Bailey. Yeah. So we kind of structure the shadow funnel strategy kind of like that, like in terms of have you seen the pitch? Yeah. So we kind of use that pitch and then attack the person we're trying to land, like the offer for, like through 6 different ways. So like, let's just say Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, email. Try to attack, like, let's just say we use YouTube because that's where like the hottest offers are, the gold mines of offers. We find those on YouTube. And let's just say we find Juvier Gems, I used to set for him in the past. And pretty much from there, you just want to qualify, make sure they have a high ticket offer. And that's just by going through, using the shadow funnel strategy. And this is where the name comes from. You want to go through their funnel, go all the way through, make sure they actually have a book to call page, because that obviously means they have a high ticket offer. And then from there, just use an email scraper, get their email, find their Instagram, their Facebook, their Upwork, their LinkedIn. And you're going to be outreaching to them through all of these different platforms. So that way you're kind of attacking them from all different angles with the outreach video, similar how Bailey attacked Andrew Tate and was able to land that role as a videographer.
That's the sauce for you guys at home. Now, when it comes to actually moving from that setting role to a closing role, how do you go about developing that skill? Did you start off with a script and you would just follow a script? Did you follow a framework? How did you learn that skill set? Because it seems like a very different skill set between just appointment setting and closing. How did you learn that? What frameworks do you use? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I first started setting, and funny enough, on my first setting call that actually answered, I actually closed the deal instead of setting an appointment. It was when I was flat broke. I was fasted for like 4 days, nothing going for me. And it was the first official day of the offer being launched. So no one even closed any deals yet. I hopped on the phone as a setter, called a few, no answers. And the first one that answered, I was like telling him, hey, my name is Ryan Little, I'm with Juvier Gyms. And he went straight into diving into like dumping all of his trauma on me, on why day trading wasn't working, how much he loved Juvier, how much money he wasted, all this type of stuff. And then as he was listing the problems he was having, I was looking over at my screen on my laptop, and I was like, oh shit, this guy, he's the perfect mentee for Juvier. So I just went ahead, pitched the product just like with what was like actually on the offer stack, like what was included. There wasn't even like a solidified pitch. So I just kind of raw dogged it, closed the first deal, got like $250 commission, and then it's been a uphill kind of trend ever since then. But to go from setting to closing, it is a massive skill gap. But as a setter, the way you're able to transition from setting to closing is as a setter, sometimes there's like a low ticket offer that you can sell if they're not like enough qualified for them to actually go on a call with the closer. So when you're setting on a call, and let's just say they have $500 and the high ticket product is like $5K, then you can go ahead and try to downsell them to like a $497 offer instead of the $5K one. So that way you can actually practice your closing skills as a setter.
Excellent. Now, as we all know, not every single sales call is going to go that smoothly. What are some of the, let's say, most common objections that you receive, and how do you handle them?
Yeah, I would definitely say the most common one is I need to think about it. You got hit with that this morning?
Think about it.
Yeah. So to handle that one, you just kind of need to figure out like what they need to think about, because I mean that's just like really a smoke screen. There's really a pinpoint objection behind that, whether it be the risk, the trust, the money, the wife objection. There's always something behind I need to think about. It's not, if they never need to really think about it, because to make a decision, it's not time or thinking that needs to be done to make a decision. It's actually just the information and the confidence. So you just be like, yeah, totally understand. I would need to think about it as well. It's a pretty big step for your life. But when you go and think about it these next few days, Bob, what would be the number one concern for you? So that we can bounce right back into the conversation of like what they're actually thinking about. So that we can kind of solve that and then move forward.
And you also mentioned something important here, which is the confidence and the energy that you bring onto the call. How do you get yourself into the mindset to have that confidence and have that energy before you get on the phone with a prospect?
Yeah, so before every call, I just take one of these bad boys, maybe have some coffee before, some snuss and caffeine. That's like the most beautiful combo you can have with sales. So that way you have high energy, high focus, high clarity, and you can just focus entirely on the call, be entirely present, and you're just completely dialed in.
Do you do any mindset work or any meditation to get yourself into that mental state?
Not at all. The most meditation I do is when I'm sparring and doing leg day. I had the first leg day of the year yesterday. So whenever you get into like flow state or you're sparring and you have to focus entirely on the moment, or you're going to get fucked up, especially with sparring. That's a form of meditation as well. So that's the only meditation I do. I don't just sit there for 10 minutes and close my eyes. I can't really sit still that much, so I got to get out there, spar. And that's the best kind of form of meditation for me. What about you?
I don't really, I don't practice any meditation. I feel like I should. I know that stillness is pretty important. That is a habit that I want to cultivate, but I don't actively.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of your sales process, like how does it look for you? Like if someone's watching right now, they're a business owner, they have no clue how the framework goes. Like what do you kind of do in your framework?
Yeah, so what I help people with mostly is building the whole system, because what I like to, there's some movement, because what I like to view the sales process as is like a chain. And if a single link in that chain is broken, you're not going to make money. And so most of what I help people with is generating leads from LinkedIn and YouTube. And with this whole process, there's multiple steps, like the traffic that you get to your profile, the number of followers you get, the number of post impressions that you get from the posts you make, and then you're going to link to something, whether that's a call or a landing page, and then by the time somebody gets on the call, they should have multiple emails and multiple text messages that they receive. So there's a lot of work that goes into building out the sales process before you even get on the phone with them. And I think that most of the, like they say, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And a lot of what goes in the sales process is building out content, building out sequences to nurture people so that you're not spending 2 hours explaining the entire process once you get on the phone, and then you can close somebody, in 20 minutes. That's sort of what I mainly focus on. with myself and with clients that I work with.
Cool, bro. And I mean, in terms of sales, like, did you do anything before coming out here to Bangkok that you used sales in the past for? Like, did you work like a 9 to 5 that you had to upsell people on, or like, what was your kind of previous sales experience like?
No, I've actually never worked like a proper sales role. Most of my convincing online, most of my selling online, I think most of the experience comes from faceless YouTube channels that I ran. When I was like maybe 15 or 16, I ran faceless YouTube channels and I would sell affiliate offers. So I learned what to say and like in the order to convince people to purchase this affiliate product. And I think that's where most of the selling came from. That really built up a lot more marketing experience than it did like hands-on direct selling experience. Since then, I've worked with a few people doing like short form distribution, making content for them, and that's very different from the actual selling. But yeah, that's pretty much my experience.
And Eric, what would you say is your least favorite objection? That like when someone hops on the call with you and they give you an objection, what's the worst one that you hear that makes you just fucking want to punch them through the screen?
Yeah, it's gonna have to come down. It's gonna have to be the I have to think about it objection, which is honestly one of the easiest ones to handle because it's oh yeah no I totally get it, and then it's more of like an energy exchange because whenever you get that, I sort of try to like pull back the energy a bit and then say oh you know I totally get it. What is it that you would need to think about? And that's sort of that's like the go-to answer that I have. It's pretty simple and yeah. But it's annoying to say because I would like to think that I'm a direct communicator. However, when you're on a sales call, you have to understand that everybody has a different type of personality. And some people won't say, I don't think I'm going to make money with this offer. I don't think this is going to work for me. They're going to say, I need to think about it. So you have to uncover what the true reason is. Okay, they probably don't actually need to think about it. There's something else underneath that.
I got you. Yeah, my least favorite one is definitely the wife objection. I just can't relate to them. I'm like, okay, you're a man and you can't make a decision. Like, what's going on here? Are you married to your mom? Like, what's going on? But in terms of like actually selling, like, how long do you think it takes to go from maybe some business owner is watching right now and he has no idea how to run a sales call, either as a setter or a closer? Like, how long would you think it takes for them to, gain that skill to actually start closing their first few deals?
Yeah, I think based on you're gonna have much more success building out like talking about your offer on long form content on YouTube videos where you make captivating videos about your offer and the things that you help people with. Because then at that point, there's two things that are gonna happen. You're gonna attract people who are already warmed up, they've already watched your videos, and then by the time you're on the call, you have experience talking about this. You know what to say. You know what. How to pitch your offer because you've made videos. And it's sort of like a feedback loop because once you take those sales calls, then the next time you make a video, you know what objections to handle. And it's this process. You should be recording your calls. You should watch them back and use that as feedback and see, okay, this objection was raised. If I were to handle this objection in the content I make before they get on the call, then it's already working for me. Because I like to see YouTube videos and content that you make, whether that's on LinkedIn or on YouTube, as a sales call, but you're speaking to thousands of people. That's essentially what marketing is. And the better you are at doing the marketing, the easier the sales process is going to be. And then you can use the information from the sales process to then make your marketing better. So what I'd say is you can get better. Like the answer to that question, too long didn't read version, is by making videos about your content. That's going to make it easier to start getting on sales calls with people that are interested in your offer as a business owner.
I got you. And Eric, when you hop on these sales calls, what style would you say you take? Are you more of like a cutthroat closer, logical closer, or like an emotional closer where you make people cry on your sales calls?
So I sell like a B2B offer. So it's a bit different to, let's say, a day trading offer where it's B2C. There's always an emotional element. Like even when you're doing a B2B offer, you're still dealing with a person. You're still talking to a real human being who has emotions, who wants to spend money to make more money. So you can sort of focus on like the return on investment they're going to make. But I think it's still important to mention that to use the future pacing in terms of the positive and the negative. Like what is this going to look like if you move forward and this works? And then also, what is it going to look like if you stayed where you are? Especially if you're dealing with other business owners on a sales call, they're responsible for everything. So it's kind of easier because they're in control of their business. They can make these decisions. And if you talk about, okay, well, you've been trying to scale your business, you've been trying to crack LinkedIn organic for a while. Why hasn't that been working? And if you were to keep doing what you're doing, where do you think you'd be in 6 months? And then they think about it and they realize, okay, if I kept doing what I was doing, I'm going to stay exactly where I am. So I think it's a bit different. I still try to use emotion, but it's a bit different for a B2B offer where I try to be a bit more logical, and I'm using my own personal brand for this. So I try to be a bit upbeat. I understand that even if somebody doesn't buy on the sales call, they're still going to watch my content. They may come around later. And I've had this often where I get on a sales call with somebody and it doesn't close. However, a few months down the road, they just end up either purchasing like a low ticket or they hop on another sales call and buy because I keep the marketing going. So I think as a business owner, like it's important to remember that if you were doing marketing on a specific channel, that's not a 1 month endeavor. That's not a 2 month, 3 month. That is something that you have to be in for the long term because you build up an audience who knows you for solving this problem over time. Yeah, I like this. I like that we have back and forth. Some questions about my process, what you're doing.
All right, so Eric, so let's just say a business owner right now is watching this. He only has $10,000 cash right now. What would be the steps you would take to grow that business from, let's just say, $2K a month to $8K a month?
So if you're a business owner, I'm going to assume that you're an online, like you do digital marketing, you're an online business owner. The biggest lever in your business is going to be content. It's going to be getting more eyeballs on what you are doing because you have all the time in the world to make content or to even bring someone on board to make content. So I think that's going to be like the highest lever, and that's really like a long-term play. If you're at 2K per month, and you're trying to scale up from there. If your business is doing 2K per month, I would say content is still a focus, and as you make more content, it's also going to become easier to do outreach. Because every time that you reach out to somebody, they look at your profile, they look you up, and they see what you're about. So I would focus on both. I would focus on making content as well, organic, and then also doing outreach to people specifically, like cold email, cold Instagram DMs, cold LinkedIn DMs, because that's going to give you two things. It's going to give you money in the bank, and it's going to give you testimonials. Now, if you have testimonials and experience, you can make better content. You can talk about the results that you got for people, and since you've done fulfillment, you know what to talk about in your content.
Cool. And in terms of content and actually like pushing out stuff to the world, do you think organic content, that kind of trend, that kind of like angle is better, or like actually running ads to like targeted people that you actually want in terms of like your clients and stuff?
Yeah, so I do both. I mostly focus on LinkedIn and YouTube organic. Some of the best clients, actually I'll say this, almost every client that I have has watched my YouTube videos, but almost every single one of them has come from LinkedIn. So sort of what my funnel looks like now is I generate a lot of traffic on LinkedIn, and then I promote my YouTube videos as more of an in-depth way of people getting value from me and getting information from me. Because there's only so much value that you can put in like a single page, a single post on LinkedIn. So I like to do both of those, but I also do run ads for my low ticket software product. It's a software marketing product that helps you grow on LinkedIn and get leads from LinkedIn. So I do both right now, but especially if you're starting off, you're doing 2K per month, it might not be your best bet to run ads because you have to pay rent, you have to pay for your life. So that might not be the best option for you. But once you get to a certain position in your business, running ads is going to be good to add fuel to the fire. And what I really like to think about marketing ads is like an entire ecosystem, because if you do outreach to somebody, they can then become a fan of yours who watches your videos. All of these pieces go together. There are, there are business creators on YouTube who I follow and I purchase products from because they've done outreach to me. So they've reached out to me. I'm now aware of their existence. So I look them up. I watch their videos. I'm like, okay, this is pretty valuable. Subscribe to them. I tell other people about their videos because it's helpful. And all of these pieces come together. So like going back to the original question, if you're starting off 2K per month, you're going to have to focus on outreach and organic content. But once you get to, I would say 10, but I think even at like 5K per month, you can start running $5, $10 per day in ads and get some good leads with just that ad spend.
I got you. And let's kind of flip the script a little bit. If someone's making $2K a month at McDonald's right now, flipping burgers, and they want to get into like the online space, being able to travel, unlock time freedom, location freedom, and eventually financial freedom, like what would you say the path is if you have, let's just say, 5K saved up?
Yeah, if you have 5K saved up, what I'd first look at is I would recommend that somebody takes inventory of what they have. Like what skills do they have? What following do they have on social media? That's the first thing you should look at, because if you're making any decision, you probably already have resources that you could use. You have pieces on the chessboard that are not in play yet that you could move and put them into play. That's what I would recommend first. So if you're working at McDonald's, have you edited videos for people? Have you shot videos for people before? Especially if you have a skill set that can be done remotely, copywriting, video editing, media buying, those are high leverage skill, or remote closing. Those are high leverage skill sets that you can do from anywhere in the world. That's the first thing I would look at. Now, if you're doing this fulfillment yourself, if you're writing copy yourself or running ads yourself, then it becomes very easy to then get clients and charge a retainer or charge an upfront package to people. Your main focus at this point is to find leads. So what I do personally, I can recommend what I do personally, which is, like I said, doing outreach to people and then making content on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Instagram, I'm like 50-50 on Instagram. I don't personally use it too much for business besides running Facebook ads. But I would say like doing outreach and making content with the skill set that you have would be your best bet. Now, if you don't have a skill set, you can't make money. I think that anybody who tells you that you can make money without a skill set, they're trying to sell you something, and it's probably a bit deceptive. So you have to develop that skill set in one way or another. But once you have it, it just becomes a numbers game of reaching out to people who need what you have to offer and closing them. I actually did post a video for copywriters specifically where I talked about how copywriters can find clients on LinkedIn. And it's a similar process to finding people on Instagram. What you can do is look at the LinkedIn ads library. And this finds people who are currently running ads for the business, which tells you two things. It tells you that they believe in marketing, like they don't just believe in word of mouth and that people will come. So they believe in marketing and they have a budget to spend on marketing. So you can then position your services as, hey, I noticed that you're running these ads. I would like to write better copy so you get more leads from the ads that you're writing. And then you'd go on and pitch them from that point. I think that's that's a little bit of value for you guys at home to find people to reach out to who have the money to spend.
Yeah, and if I were, let's just say, at McDonald's flipping burgers, listening to Aunt Mary tell me what orders I need to put in, I would definitely get into remote sales myself, just because I just know exactly the whole process, and I came out here with 1,500 USD to my name, no income whatsoever, and I mean, if I went to day trading, crypto, e-commerce, I would have been absolutely cooked out here in Thailand. But just because with remote sales, you already have the skill, as long as you can speak, you can think, you can actually do work, you'll be able to make it as long as you're able to learn the right skill, which is of course sales, and then being able to be conscious and aware that you're going to obviously be selling something, either an appointment, selling an appointment to the closer, or selling the product / mentorship for the influencer / mentor that you're selling for. So that way, I mean, I went from $0 to $4K a month just within a few weeks. And I don't think there's any other business model that's possible with no startup capital, that much knowledge or experience, so that we can actually start, sustaining your lifestyle. Because if I started e-commerce, started a store, started running ads with 1,500 USD, no income, I would have been out there in the streets with the Thai guys eating the bugs.
You would have been pushing a cart in Pattaya, homeless. Exactly. Well, Ryan, thank you for coming on the channel. It's been an absolute pleasure. Where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me both on Instagram and YouTube, Ryan Little with RyanNNLittle on both Instagram and YouTube. And most active on Instagram.